I thought I would go ahead and continue some of our discussion around SNAP benefits that we started. There's been something else that I've seen people posting is a little insensitive, and I want to explain why that is. People are telling those on SNAP benefits to start a garden. Now, guys, you know I'm all for that. That's part of why I do what I do, is I want people to start gardens. I want people to, raise chickens and that kind of thing. But the reason that's problematic, I hope I don't forget these are going in my pockets. That could be messy. Telling people to start a garden right now, it's only going to work for certain areas. It's November. Most gardens are dying down, including mine. Telling people to start a garden right now is insensitive because it's not the time to start a garden. We're going into the winter. Like 3/4 of the country, unless you live in a warmer climate, most people are not gardening, especially once you get up, say, Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, where my family is from. Their frost time frame has passed. Now, are there things that you can do? Yeah, there's a few things, but it requires a certain skill set and knowledge that even I'm not very good at. Number one, you can do some hydroponic stuff. I stink at it. I've been given a little rise garden, and even though it's got alerts and stuff, I'm terrible at it. But the seeds and stuff are very expensive, even a regular garden. You have to think about, number one, they need to have the space for it. If they live in a city, that may not be possible. There might be community gardens, but there again, depending on the city, now is not the time. Also, this stuff costs money. Gardens are not cheap. It is once you're started, but you still need to build beds and things, and that's not going to be the same for everywhere and for everyone. Now, for me, I've received a lot of comments about why I do raised beds. In this case, you got to remember, I've got to buy the lumber, I've got to fill it with soil, that kind of thing. The reason is that we have red clay here, which we just got a bunch of rain, so right now it won't be a problem, but in the summer, it's cement. I don't know if you could tell how that's kind of clay-like. So we sit on a bed of clay. Up in New York, they have loamy soil. They have beautiful soil that they could just dig down in. Works great. But they can't when the ground is frozen. So like this time frame specifically, if you're telling people to grow a garden, the only people you're telling to grow a garden are those who are probably in Florida, Texas, some of the warmer states that are probably zone 8 or above. And now I am zone 8A. And right now, we've been hovering around 40 degrees at night. Once it hits 32 degrees, all of this will die. It's that time of the year. That's what it does. That's what it's supposed to do. I have some cooler weather vegetables planted, but here again, you have to know what you're doing in the garden in order to know what to choose to plant. That takes time and it takes practice. And that's one of the reasons I love to help people. I try to show what I'm growing, and usually on my website, I try to list it as well, although I'm a little behind on my website lately. But I do that because people don't know that you've got certain crops that grow in the cooler time frames like spring and fall, or at least fall for us. Up north, they can't do the fall as much. And then you've got your warmer season vegetables like your tomatoes, your peppers. That stuff needs heat. It needs it hot. It needs a lot of sun. So there's different crops for different things. That's a lot for people to learn in the beginning. And I know it took me years to learn how to garden. It's a lot of practice. I've been gardening for 20 years and really feel like I've only gotten good at it in the last 5 to 8. Partially because of my channel. I started looking into issues. I started resolving issues on my own and learning how to do that where I didn't think to ask that before. I would throw some things in the dirt and think, okay, they're going to grow. And then they wouldn't. And I'd go, that's weird. Or I'd never check on it again and then go, gee, why is it all dried out and dead? Or why are the bugs all over it? That's the kind of stuff you learn over time and with practice. While I think the intent is really to empower people to grow their own food, which, trust me, thank you for that. I love that. That's what I want people to do. It's not always as feasible as people think. Like, I should probably find it. There is one joke video that's, I've spent $5,426 on seeds, on soil, on fertilizer, on all these things, all for one tomato. Because that's what happens when you're first starting. You don't know what you're doing. Everything starts out small. Everything looks crappy because you didn't amend your soil and you didn't know that you should. Planted it at the wrong time. There's so much to learn. There's very few people that get this from the get-go. And that's also why I tell people, don't wait to start your gardens. Start as soon as you can. Start with whatever you can, even if it's small. I've got a tower garden here. These are great for small spaces. These are great for patios. you could easily do this. And I don't know if they make grow lights for these, but they do make grow lights that you can get like on Amazon that you could probably clip on here inside to try to grow some things. And trust me, that grows a lot. I mean, these are strawberries everywhere. Bush beans, lettuces, that kind of stuff. Easy peasy. Definitely will grow pretty good in that. Now in the winter, they'll dry out really fast, but I do a lot of herbs and they look a little, crappy right now. But I mean, I buy these big things here and I put all kinds of stuff in them. Mustard, but you can see these are onions. Tomatillo that is still alive, surprisingly. I thought that was going to die. And this is a hodgepodge. I think that's garlic chives. So yeah, there are some things you can grow, and they do make certain varieties that are container varieties. So those might be things you might want to try. I don't have a ton of experience around growing things like zucchini or the bigger plants in containers. I have grown tomatoes in those same buckets. They grow okay. I do better with the cherry tomatoes in them. I feel like a regular tomato does a lot better if you get it in the ground. It can get to more resources and whatnot. And so that's how you get these bigger tomatoes. Whenever I grow in containers, they always stay a lot smaller. You got to fertilize and stuff because that smaller container, they go through everything really quickly. You totally can do that. However, again, it all has to do with financial means. And if folks are on SNAP benefits, if they don't have transportation, how do they get soil if they don't have workable soil? For a lot of folks, they're not going to be able to make a lot of compost. I am only starting to make my own compost and get pretty good at it. I had quite a lot of compost this last year, but I mean, this is my system here. I have 2 bays, and you can see this is full. I need to flip this before the season. I usually, in the spring and in the fall, I flip them. So this will go here, and then in the spring I'll flip it back, and then I, add to it or whatever. You gotta have the space to do that kind of thing. Grow pots also are great for a beginner gardener. I will say that certain things grow better than others in them though. I found that a lot of my stuff dries out in them, but that has to do with where I live. Potatoes grow great in them. In fact, that's what's here. Those ones died off because we had a rough summer. But these are all potatoes here. Onions. There's a tomato that has clearly just thrown them all over the place. Those do work pretty good, but again, to fill one of those, that's not just one bag of compost. Mine aren't even as full as they should be, and I really should probably top them all off. I grow a lot in window boxes, so I think this is a mesclun mix. I can't remember, that might be also. I've got herbs in some, so here's my, basil. I think this is either a celery that found its way in here or it's lovage, I'm not sure which. Cilantro, that's cilantro right there. So there's all kinds of stuff you can plant in window boxes, and I absolutely love doing my herbs in window boxes. In fact, up on my deck I have window boxes with thyme, crawling rosemary, sage. Although again, my summer, we had a rough summer and I think I might have killed some of them, so I'll have to repot those. But not everybody can grow those outside year round either, so that's something that is dependent on where you live. Here's oregano, parsley, that kind of stuff grows really great in these small little containers. And a lot of times you can hang one of these outside a window, like in your kitchen or, something like that. I've also used these throwaway bins. Whenever I see someone throw away one of these on the side of the road because it has a hole in it, I grab them. Now, they do break down after a while because they're plastic. So you see this one? This one, I don't know, if I tip this out, I may have to just go ahead and toss it because now it's, not really very functional. See how it's ripping? That does happen. But I just reuse them until you can't anymore. Honestly, I see these as free little garden beds, and these containers right here, I've had going for several years now. So, I mean, they last a while. And I mean, if you're not planning on using them for anything else because they've got holes in them, all you're doing is extending the life a little more, which is a very sustainable thing to do. So you can look for those. Also, you can find those a lot of times at like Goodwill or the Restore. Mine sells them. They used to sell them for $1. I think now they've gone up like everything else. While I hear the sentiment that growing a garden is the way to go, it does take some planning. It does take some finances. and it does take some help. And with that, I will help you. If you have questions, I can't always get to them right away, but I always try to help people when they're getting started. At the very least, through my pages, I try to post what you can grow. I am in zone 7B, 8A, so I'm in South Carolina, North Carolina. I'm near Charlotte, North Carolina. What I can grow may be a little bit different than what they can grow in New York. Like right now in New York, they probably don't have this. I don't know. I haven't been watching the weather up there. But yeah, these are just all things you have to consider with a garden, and it's not as simple as telling people to grow one. In fact, some guy was arguing with me and then told me that they could get insulated greenhouses, and I said, I can't even afford an insulated greenhouse. Like, they don't fall out of the sky. How are you going to tell someone with SNAP benefits to get an insulated greenhouse to grow during the winter when they've never done it before? That just, logically, that doesn't make sense, and the math ain't math in there. So there are some smaller greenhouse structures and things you can get. In fact, I'm going to get ready to do some of that because next week we're going to drop down to 30 some odd degrees. So it's about time to cover stuff. And I will talk about some inexpensive options. I have some videos around that. But as far as like getting an actual heated or insulated greenhouse, if he thinks those fall out of the sky, good for him. I wish I lived in that world. In fact, throw a few my way. I'd love it. I also wanted to mention that if anybody needs resources, right now there's a lot of resources that are advertising because they know that people are going to need them. My friend's charity that she started, it is called The Bulb. The Bulb rescues food from farmers and from grocery stores, and they take it into neighborhoods and they let people take the food for free. It's a donation-based thing, so if you can give, please do. And you're allowed to shop there too. Anybody can shop there. Just please, if you can, make a donation, because then that goes back to pay for their gas, their trucks, the employees they do have to hire, because they sometimes have to get people they pay. But it goes into their resources, which is a good thing. But basically, they run a program so that people can get food in neighborhoods where they don't have access. And I think one of the spots that usually goes down like the Charlotte Transit. So if you've ever been on Charlotte Transit and you're down there, you might see them down there. If you see a little market, that's what that is. Feel free to shop it. That's what it's there for. It's there as a resource, and there are people that are putting funds and help into that. So please know that that's there. I have another resource that a friend just shared somewhere in the description or in the comments. I'll try to pool some resources and either put them down below, or I'll at least get them posted on my website, something like that, so that if you really need help, I want you to be able to get it. Also, if you are close to me, I'm on the border of North Carolina and South Carolina. If you are near Charlotte and you're, in that general area and you need help, drop me a message, let me know. I will meet you. And I don't have a ton, but what I do have, I will share. That's why I started this. During COVID, I was growing zucchinis and just putting them out on my doorstep and telling people, please come get them. I don't have a ton of eggs because the girls are slowing down, but when I have extra, dude, if I have a dozen eggs, I will gladly give you a dozen eggs. My thing is, I don't want people to starve. I don't want people to lose access to food. I don't think anybody should be afraid of not eating, and I think that really sucks. I don't care what anybody's beliefs are around it. If you think there's fraud, you think all this stuff, that's fine. But there's still people who are in need, and at least some of us are out here still trying to help you to the best of our ability. Seriously, just drop a comment below to reach out to you. Email address is littleurbanfarmgirl@gmail.com. I think I also have info@thelittleurbanfarm.com. Please don't sit there and think that you have to go without. You do not have to go without. And I bake sourdough bread. I'm getting ready to pull the sourdough starter out again. I can bring you a dozen eggs, some sourdough, and some veggies, and you've got brunch for your family for the weekend maybe. And if I know the situation, maybe I can make you a quiche. Maybe you can, do some other things. Now, I am mostly veggie-based, so you're not going to get like a chicken pot pie or anything, because I don't have that kind of stuff. I don't eat meat. I eat a little fish from time to time, and that's it, but I don't have anything else. Anyway, I just wanted you to know there are people out here, and we will help you in any way that we can. So please save my information, bookmark me, and just keep me as a contact. I'm glad. If any of my friends see this and you know people and they need the help, let me know. I mean, it could be anonymous if you want. I really don't care. Like, I'm not one of those judgy people. I do this for people. Now, granted, it serves me to do it more than anything, but I have more than enough to go around, and that's why I started doing this. It was all to help people. So let me help you if you need it. And if you want to learn how to garden, let me know that too. I don't do a whole lot of classes. I do most of this online because I try to do it for free where I can. if it's something that you need help with, I have friends that'll reach out and they'll go, hey, teach me. And I totally can do that. I have a friend who also does consulting work around gardens, and she can help you build gardens. And if you want, I'll come help her. There's a lot of options here that people may or may not know about. Some of these programs too and charities do sometimes do stuff. I know the Bulb, when I was working with the Bulb, we would put in gardens in some areas, like a apartment complex or a senior living establishment. I will always donate my time. If you need help to build your gardens, I'll come help you. I'm so serious. I mean, I have to make sure that the situation's safe for me and all that kind of stuff. But other than that, like, I've built gardens at schools. You can look at my history of my videos, and I mean, it's part of what I enjoy doing because I know that it gives people access to this sort of stuff, or at least to begin learning. So anyway, this is getting really long, so let me end there. But seriously, reach out for help. And there's some of us that are going to be out here fighting for you. Okay? Don't lose hope.